What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Del from Inkie Quill, and today I'm up with a little off-the-page project for you. But today you could apply this to an art journal page background, a scrapbook page, you could even do it on a canvas. I think that would look really fun. I'd love to do one for Archie's room using this same concept. So you can apply it to whatever creative endeavours you prefer. So all you need is a piece of white card, some paint, any paint. It doesn't have to be these paints, just I would go with paint that wasn't too thick, so not a heavy bodied paint, like the Dina Wakley ones are quite heavy body, so just some sort of thin acrylic paint. You could even do watercolor if you'd like, and you will also need some stencils, as I showed you before. I'm popping mine in a photo frame, so I've got that ready as well. What else did I use? A heat gun. These blending tools are how I put the paint on the page, but you could use a paintbrush. And a white pen. I think that's all I used. Oh, and Heidi Shine. You know, I couldn't do it without Heidi Shine. So the first thing I'm doing is I decided to stick to one colour family. So either pick warm colours or cool colours. So like I talked about, now this was in the background video that I did, probably in September, I'm thinking. It was when we made those stickers using the background, the pink and the red background technique. So if you use cool colors, those colors are your blues, your greens. Purple kind of swings both ways. I would more likely put if it was a deep dark purple, like a navy purple, it would go in the cool colors, but there's some purples that are quite warm and pinkish. So when I say cool colors, I usually stick to greens, blues and aquas and turquoise, and then warm colors are yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, all of those warmer tone hot colors. So the first thing I'm doing is I've grabbed my cool colored paints. I just split them because I have so many in these. I think they are Diane Reevely or Ranger. Maybe they're just by Ranger. They're little bags that perfectly hold stuff, and they're plastic so you can wipe them down, which are really handy. And I always separate my paints with the cool colors together and the warm colors together because it's easy when I do things like this. Now this paint, that paint pot needs to go, Adele, but I'm trying to get the last out of it, and I do end up getting my replacement one soon. All I'm doing is grabbing different paint colors and smushing them on the page. You could use a paintbrush, you could use sponge, whatever you like to apply your paint. Something I did realize is that I should have done more areas that were lighter. It didn't matter in the end, but when I got up to the stenciling page, it would have helped. And I didn't like this grey, so I added this grey, and it kind of just made everything look dirty, and I hated it. So I do end up going over the top of it. You'll see in a little bit. So stick away from the grey if you're doing the cool colours, because it does kind of look a bit dirty. So I'm trying to go over it with the blue as best I can, and the dilutions, there's not many paint colours available, so you'll be able to see which ones I use. I loved the turquoise, the polished jade, I think it's midnight blue or something to that effect. They're all of the Adele colours when you look at them online. So I'm going through and I'm grabbing stencils, and the thing that I'm looking for when I pick my stencils is a small design. So small patterns, small shapes, because you will only see a little tiny slither. So much of this gets covered up in the end, which isn't a waste, and I'll tell you why when we get up to that point. But there's just... The reason why I covered so much of the paper, even though I didn't need it, is that I didn't really know where my quote was going to go. So it's best to just cover up the whole paper. Plus, it's just fun to slap some paint down. And honestly, the amount of paint that you cover up is barely wasting anything. So it's okay to waste a little bit of paint every now and then. So I'm adding my stencils. I've got some stars, I've got some circles. That gold up the top there is actually, I'm sure it probably has a proper name, but it's the rubbish left behind from sequins. So you'll see me use it in a moment. But it's the punched bit after the sequins are poked out using the machines that make the sequins. So now I'm trying to go over with the grey, and I'm using the dark blue because a darker colour, of course, will cover it up better than a paler colour. And I used one of my silicone brushes to do so, and then I'm trying to heat gun it and hold the paper and try and smooth out any wrinkles by holding the paper with my elbow, which is never a good idea because I got paint on my elbow. But in the end, I really love how this turned out. I'm definitely going to do it again. My tips for this stage are: use only a few colours, probably 5 colours. That's definitely plenty. Pick stencils that have small patterns on them. Also, try to do lots of, so the colour blocking that I've done in the background with the blending tool, where I put all the paint down before I did the stenciling, I tried to do lots of small sections. So try not to make those bits too big, because if you make them too big when you do the later step, you won't get as much variation in the letters. It will make sense as it goes on. So I'm just adding more stencils, and then I decided that it needed a bit of white to kind of lighten it up a bit. So I grabbed my white and my blending tool, and I feel like this kind of lifted it a little bit. It's amazing the power of white and black when you are doing mixed media and arty stuff. It really can completely change a layout. So this is this stencil rubbish that I was talking about, and it makes brilliant stenciling, and you don't have to worry about like keeping it perfectly neat and tidy, because I think you buy it in a roll, I do believe. We actually used this when I was in high school, and we made little angels and sold them for fundraising out of this special stuff. I don't know what it's called. I'm adding a bit of a background stamp here. It's just really, really small text. I don't know where the stamp is from, sorry. It could be a Finnabair one possibly, but I just felt like it needed a bit of black as well. It needed a bit of something to tie it in. And then I'm doing my white splatters. Now, to do my white splatters, I only use a white chalk texture that I'd used for previous projects, and it was almost all used up. The next step is your letters. Now, the tips for your letters: choose flat stickers like this. They're very flat. They're not chipboard. They're not dimensional. Work from the center word out. I just find that that's a lot easier to measure out where your words are going to go, so that you don't end up with a top heavy quote or a bottom heavy quote. Don't super press them down. These stickers worked really well because they weren't the best quality. They were very cheap. I think they were 50 cents. I got them in a bargain bin from a cheap shop. I'm pretty sure it was the Reject Shop, which, as the name suggests, get the not the greatest quality products all the time. They do have some great products, but sometimes they have rejects, and I'm pretty sure these were rejects because they didn't really stick. So try to get an alphabet that isn't sticky. If you are worried about it ripping up the paper, what you could do is just kind of bounce the stickers a couple of times just on your like the leg of your pants, just to get them a little bit furry so that they stick down but they're not super sticky. Now, this is the nerve-wracking part. Now I'm getting my black paint and I'm going to cover up all of that blue. And I know you might be thinking, Adele, no, but wait until you see the end result. I really love it. I did actually scan in the blue background before I did all of this, so that will be part of your January printables at some point. It will be in there somewhere. It might be a Project Life card or an embellishment on the collage sheet. It will be there somewhere, and I'm actually going to use this page that I made because I like it so much as your January art print. So stay tuned for that. You will be getting this in your hot little hands on the 15th of this month. So now I'm adding the black, and I do 2 coats of black because this Dilutions paint is quite transparent really, and with all of the stenciling and especially with that white chalk texture, things do pop through, and with the end result you still can see through to some of the stenciling and especially some of the white splatters, but the letters have such an impact and I do something to the letters that give them an extra impact, that you just don't notice it. So you could also try this with a different color. If you wanted to do it, let's say like a dark blue, I would suggest using very, very light blues as your letters. I'm not sure how it would work, but you know what? Give it a go. Give it a try. Really, what are you going to lose if you give it a go and don't like it? A piece of cardboard and a couple of alphabet stickers. It's no biggie. So I'm doing my second coat, and then I do decide to add a little bit of Heidi Shine, and I do it now because if I did it at the end, the Heidi Shine would have gone on the letters as well, whereas here I'm putting them on before I'm peeling off all of those stickers, and so it'll work a lot better. Da, 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 it worked! And I've peeled off that first letter and I thought, hang on, I can double purpose this and I can do the quote on something else. So I start to peel off the letters now. I've sped this up I think 4 times. Tip here, peel them off very slowly. Don't peel them off as quickly as it looks like I'm peeling them off. I did it a lot slower. I've sped it up 4 times as fast because you don't need to see me peeling them off at the snail's pace. So I decided to stick them on this white paper, and then I actually change it and put them in my Use It Up journal because it gives me a page in my Use It Up journal without much effort. But by that point, the stickiness has well and truly left the building. It is not around anymore, and they are curling up like there's no tomorrow. So I do have to go back and I have to work out a way to put a seal over the top. I don't know if I might use my matte gel medium. I might, but I think I've used some of the dilutions paints or sprays on this page, and they will come alive again if I put something wet on them. So that's for future Adele to worry about tomorrow, I think. But yeah, it's given me a whole nother journal page, and I feel like I haven't wasted any alphabet at all. So have a look at that. How cool does that look? But let's do one more step to make it stand out even more. So now I'm grabbing my white Uniball Signo in the broad tip, and I'm going to outline the letters, but I'm not going to outline them exactly on the edge. I'm going to leave a tiny little space, like a millimeter, like a tiny space, and then do my outline. It's not perfect, it's not neat, it's just the best that I can do, because really you can't tell once they're all done. The impact is the letters as a whole and not the letters themselves, if that makes sense. So if you slightly go on the edge for some of them, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I won't tell anyone. I did on mine. It's okay. So I'm just going through, and I do cut out going through all of the letters because you don't need to see every single one, but I'll just show you a bit of a close-up what I mean. So see how there's just that tiny slither? I really think leaving that little gap of black makes a huge difference. So a little tip, if you're trying this at home, if you're trying this type of thing at home, or if you're interested in mixed media and haven't really got a lot of supplies yet, one supply that I would not be able to live without is a white pen. So that's something that I can't recommend enough. I love these Uniball broad Signo ones. I find them quite tough when it comes to abuse of wet paint. Obviously you can't go over it if it's wet, but I think they last pretty well. And then my little Inkie Quill in the corner, and it's all done. I freaking love this so much, and I think it's just a really nice quote to remember, especially if you're someone who is also has a YouTube channel that you share creative things, or if you just need a bit of a motivation to just keep on going. You can do it. Thanks for tuning in today, guys, and don't forget to tune in on the 15th to get your copy. I'll see you soon. Bye.